Welcome to Daily Steps from One Extraordinary Marriage, where we outline simple steps that you can take to have the ultimate marriage adventure. I'm Tony DeLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. In today's show, we address the question, what can we do about my husband's snoring?
This wife goes on to say, help, we can't even sleep in the same room anymore.
Oh, man.
That's tough.
That's way tough.
That's tough. And, as we were preparing for the show, I just did a little research just to kind of get a sense of how big of an impact is snoring having on people in general, but on marriages specifically. And some of the statistics out there say that snoring affects somewhere between 30 to 40% of people. That's a tremendous amount of people that are being impacted. And if you're married, guess what? It's not just you being impacted,
it's your spouse
as well. And that impact is not just the tension of, the elbow that you get in the side that says you're snoring. When your sleep is interrupted, it impacts your ability to do life together. It impacts your ability to do life in general, but the marriage dynamic really gets a tremendous amount of stress put on it because, a few things about lack of sleep. Without good sleep, you have little reserves or patience to deal with day-to-day stress.
And I just go back to the days of younger kids waking up and, every hour, every couple hours, and how on edge you can be, the tension that happens from that.
And that's just a season when you've got little ones. If you throw in snoring that can be, years long, the two of you are dealing with this. I mean, I remember an aunt and uncle when I was a kid, they said they couldn't sleep in the same room because the other one snored. Well, then they go and visit somebody and the entire house shakes.
Wow.
Because they're both snoring. And that interrupted sleep, it can also make you drowsy during the day, which impacts your ability to work. It impacts your ability to drive. These are things that start to, if you're not getting good sleep because of your snoring, it also becomes a factor in health issues like high blood pressure, stroke, and heart disease. These are things, folks, that if your spouse is bumping you at night and saying, hey, the snoring thing, they're not trying to be annoying. Right? You may take it that way. You may feel a little defensive, like, I don't snore. They're not waking you up just for kicks.
Right?
There's a problem, and you need to take it seriously. Right? Taking care of yourself is not a sign of weakness. Right? Addressing these things that are a concern in your marriage that's a sign of strength. That's a sign that you value with this person that you said I do to. You value that they're important. Mm-hmm. Right? If your spouse is telling you that they're being awakened often during the night because of your snoring, they're telling you that there's a problem in the marriage. There's a challenge that the two of you need to overcome together.
Well, and here's the thing that I think of too is there outbursts, be it anger outbursts? Is there frustration happening? Are you unable to have conversations anymore? There's so much more. I mean, the snoring is the one piece, and yet we always look at this from that marriage perspective of what's happening in the marriage dynamic because of this. Your sexual activity, has it decreased? Are you having sex anymore? Let's not only look at this from the place of, hey, I'm snoring. Mm-hmm. And yet with that, it's not just me. I don't live in my own home anymore. It's not just me just doing my own thing as a single guy. It's me with Elisa. And that impacts her and it impacts me, which then impacts our marriage, which then impacts our kids, which impacts our community.
Absolutely. And, like this wife said, she's like, we're not even sleeping in the same room.
Which, we've talked about on the One Extraordinary Marriage show that when you begin to sleep in separate beds, there's that disconnect that begins to happen. And how do you begin to come back together into the same bed? So that's a whole nother thing. But that separation isn't healthy for the marriage.
Right. So you need to start looking at this from a holistic approach. One, your spouse, and snoring affects men and women. So this is not just hey guys, you need to do this. Your spouse wants you to be healthy, right? Snoring is a sign that there's something going on with your body. and it's not functioning in the way that it should be. So get out and go see a doctor. Get help for this, because those health problems that are causing the snoring can drastically impact the quality of your life. And how amazing is it that you have a spouse that actually wants you around for a long time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You need to celebrate that. It's not just the health aspect that you're focusing on. Then take it to that relationship aspect, like Tony was just talking about. We want the two of you to create an extraordinary marriage. And one way that you do that is sleeping in the same bed. It's amazing how much nonverbal communication goes on between a husband and a wife when they're just sleeping and playing footsie at night, or when they're cuddling up together and they're having that connection. Being in the same room and getting quality sleep every night really does impact the quality of your marriage. Folks, snoring, it's laughed about on TV. It's in the movies. There's all kinds of, the elbow in the side and rolling them over and doing all this kind of stuff. Snoring is no small matter for your marriage. And it's not a personal attack when your spouse says you're snoring. It's a medical condition. Mm-hmm. Treat it as seriously as you would if you had a broken arm, or if you had an infection. You'd go get it treated. It's the same thing with snoring and the impact that it has on your marriage.
For more information on this topic, check out oneextraordinarymarriage.com/348.